Hey, what's up everyone? It's Dolbeck. Today I'm diving into exactly how armor, fortify, gem, and rend interact in New World Season 10. This will help you make smarter gear choice whether you're doing PvP or PvE content. Before this video get too complicated because I have some chance to lose you, I'ma just start with my conclusion that I got after doing all the research, and then after it I'm gonna show the number and why I think like that. I'ma start by saying that Nullify Oblivion can remove shirking fortification and conditioning. So if you are a point bruiser or a point tank, maybe it's not worth too much, but you can still have like one stack of fortification on your armor and try to go for as much defensive and offensive slot as possible with a gem into it. Same for the point tank. And then for the light armor, going with fortify on all your piece is kind of worth it because now the way that fortification and armor work is different than it was in the past season. So you can choose to just believe me or watch the rest of the video and see why I think like that. So now Shirking Fi is worth in light, medium, and heavy. Almost everyone should use it, even in PvE. But like I say, if you stand on the point, you better not rely too much on conditioning and shirking fortification. I will walk you through the full damage pipeline step by step, share clear numeric example you can follow on screen, and wrap it up with practical tips you can apply right away. Let's start with the basics. When damage hits you, there are four layers to consider: armor first, Fortify second, Rend third as a damage amplifier, and absorption gem like Opal last. Each layer kicks in that exact order and they don't all work the same way. Your total armor get converted into a 1 to 100% resistance scale and it's non-linear. That means armor point below 50% out of 100 are way more valuable than those above 50. The sweet spot around 1000 total armor gives you around 50% resistance, and 1000 is like being in light armor with a medium armor chest piece. So at 50%, you get solid medication without hitting those EV diminishing return. To illustrate, here's a quick table showing you how armor scale. Each point below 50 reduce more damage than above it. That's why aiming for about 50 out of 100 is key for light armor build. You rack up big return up to that point, then things taper off. As you can see on this table right there, more you gain armor, more there is mitigation, but it still go up. And now let's talk about gem. They tweak these layer in specific way. It go through each one and pause so you can absorb it. Turquoise give a flat armor bump. It's about 30. It's great if you're below that 50 out of 100 points, but it gets inefficient once you near or above it. Onyx raise physical resistance with a flat bump, perfect against melee heavy enemy, but they kinda still count as resistance or armor, you can say. They are not flat like Opal. Malachite does the same for elemental resistance. Use it versus mage or elemental damage team, but once again, it counts with your armor and resistance. It's not after rend or absorption. Opal is different. It absorbs 2% of the final damage after everything else. It always shave off that last 2%. So it scales better in high mitigation build. Like if you get a rend hitting you, Opal will still stay at 2%, while Malachite and Onyx gonna get rended. Rune Glass variant mix a bit of resistance with utility like cleansing, healing, stamina regen, ideal for hybrid build. So as you can see right there, you can put all those into the same package: turquoise, onyx, malachite, and then you got the absorption gem that are like opal and all the elemental gem, like ruby and all that stuff. So now absorption and resistance are not the same thing anymore. Resistance is like counted into your armor value, while absorption is another damage mitigation pool that count at the end of rend, fortify, and armor rating. To make it crystal clear, let's compare with real number. 100 raw damage and you have 50 out of 100 armor, so post armor it's 50. If you suck at turquoise, it bump you to about 52, post armor drop to 49. That's 1 point save. If you suck at opal instead, it remove 2% of 50 on 50 time equal 49. Also a 1 point save there. The key difference is that Opal stay consistent as you add more medication. Turquoise lose punch as your armor climb. So I'ma show right there on the side of the screen. As you can see, you got the post armor damage, turquoise save, opal save, and which one is the winner. And more you get armor, less the turquoise is worth it. So now let's jump into the Fortify, how it works. Fortify is a percentage reduction that hit after armor. Multiple source multiplied together, they don't just add up. No hard cap exists anymore, but you get diminishing return from the math. Here is the formula. Final after fortify equal the remaining damage after armor time the product of 1 minus each fortify as decimal. I'm gonna show a board. It's gonna be a bit complicated to read. You can read it if you want, but I'm gonna do a summary. So as you can see on that board right there, each fortify you get gonna take less and less mitigation, and bigger are the stack, better it is, because if you get a bunch of 10% stack, it's gonna mitigate less, it's gonna get more diminishing return than if you get some big stack. Like, let's say you get some 20 or 50% stack, it's almost impossible, but those gonna get mitigated mitigated less than if you get smaller stack, because when they add up together, it does some diminishing return. So now we're gonna speak about Rend. Rend amp up damage after armor and fortify, but before absorption. It basically undoes some of your save from fortify and shrink. Opal absolute benefit by inflating the base. So if you take 100 damage hit and you have 50% armor, it's gonna decrease it to 50. Then if you have 20% fortify, it's gonna decrease it to 40. Then another 20% gonna put it to 48. So if you have 20% fortify, it's gonna decrease it to 40. Then if you take 20% rend, it's gonna go up to 48. And then if you have a opal that take 2% mitigation, it's gonna go to 47.04. So Rand bumped the post 45 from 40 to 48. So Opal remove more in raw term, but you still take way more overall than without Rand. So there is some special interaction. A few quick tips with clips. If you dodge into Nullify Oblivion, short fortify like shirking fortify gets stripped, they won't apply. And even if you dodge again and again into the Oblivion and try to proc it, it will not work. So like a bruiser on the objective, if there's always some nullify oblivion under him, he will not be able to pop his shrinking fortification. Fortify shine more when armor leave a bigger remainder. If armor already crushed it, fortify save less absolute damage. Opal absorption is super reliable. It always take it cut last, stacking great with everything. Purge and nullify zone, destroy fortify uptime. Timing is everything. So most of the time, as soon as you reach 50% resistance and armor rating, it means 1000 total armor and plus, Opal will almost always be better than Turquoise because there is some diminishing return, but you can still try to adapt to the type of damage you're gonna take. So I'ma show some example on the side. As you can see, if you take a raw 100 damage and you have 50% armor, it's gonna decrease it to 50. And with 50% fortify, it's gonna decrease it to 25. I'm gonna give another example that add rend and opal. So if you take 100 raw and you have 50% armor, you're gonna take 25, then you add 50% fortify, it's gonna go up to 30, and then 20% rend on you, gonna decrease it to 29.4, and then the opal gonna give a 2% more. For the example 3, turquoise versus opal at 55%, post armor 45, turquoise bump to 44.1, save 0.9. Opal 45 times 98 equal 44.1, save 0.9. Example 4. For Fortify stacking from 50, if you stack 3 Fortify, you can see the math right there. 50 multiplied by 0.83 equal 25.6. So the save are 10, 8, 6, 4. Diminishing is in action. As you can see, each stack of 20% Fortify gave less and less up to 4 at the end. Show the example on the screen. So to wrap it up, armor is non-linear, peaking efficiently at 50%, Fortify multiply after armor, with each stack saving less absolute damage, Opal absorb last for consistent value, Rend amps after Fortify, cutting your mitigation. So for the Fortify, I decided to make things more precise and easier to read. So I took, like, if you had some 10% stack, some 15% stack, and some 30% stack, and then I wanted to show how it was adding up together. So let's get straight into it. I wanted to show with this graph right there, if you use some 30% Fortify income, you will need 5 stack to reach 16.8. But if you use some 10% income, you will need 17 stack of it to reach 16. So as you can see, more your stack are bigger, less diminishing return you have into it. So now you're probably wondering, how does Fortify actually hit different on light, medium, and heavy armor? And is the Fortify perk worth a slot on your gear? So with light armor, you're sitting at 1000, that's 50% mitigation. A 100 damage hit become 50 post armor. Medium, it's 1500 armor, it's 60% mitigation, so same it become 40 damage. For AV armor, it's 2000 armor, 67 mitigation, so there's only 33 damage left. So now, watch what happen when we stack 20% Fortify, like from Shield Rush, Leadership, or a big proc. So I'ma put some number right there, you can read them. As you can see, Fortify worth more in light armor, just because it cut from a bigger remaining number. On heavy armor, your armor already mitigated a lot of the damage. Fortify had less absolute survival. So is the Fortify perk worth it in light armor? Yes, 100%. I would say that it's heavy armor, even if you crushed a lot with it, it's still kinda worth it, but take care to not get too many diminishing return. So for light, you're trading a perk for 10 plus damage saved per stack. That's burst survival gold. Medium still worth it, especially if you're dodging or using ability. And for AV armor, it's situational. If you're already at 67% mitigation and have opal plus high uptime, you might prefer health, freedom, conditioning instead. Bottom line, the lighter armor benefit more from Fortify than EV. So for EV, there's conditioning too that could be good, or like just some raw defense, But at the end, you can have shirking fortification and like one or two conditioning on the same piece. They are not entering in conflict with each other too much. So you can definitively wear the 5 shirking fortification stack on your armor and still benefit from it. Just do some maths if possible, ask a AI or something, but I still think that it's kind of worth. It's just that if you know you're gonna stand into some oblivion, then it's kind of meh. So for PvE, it's top tier. For PvP, it's situational. So for the end, I'ma end with the conditioning because you see, as a EV, maybe you're gonna get more from conditioning than Fortify, and maybe even on some build in medium armor just because you might have a lot of Fortify already. And there is also the war build that stand on the point all the time, that stand into the enemy nullify oblivion, that's gonna get their shirking fortification nullified all the time. So now I'm gonna go over conditioning. I just want to start with conditioning gonna get removed by nullify oblivion 2. So both shirking fortification and conditioning can get nullified. So maybe for Bruiser the best thing could be to have as much defensive charm slot as possible, or some old gear with the big enchanted ward into it. So what does conditioning actually do? This is not raw armor. It does not add to your 0 to 100 resistance scale. Conditioning is a flat percentage reduction on the damage after armor, but before the fortify. So that means it can be rended because the rend is after the fortify. Think of it like post armor absorption. It's multiplicative with fortify. Example, light armor 50 post armor damage with 5% conditioning, 50 multiplied by 0.95 equal 47.5. Then Fortify start cutting at 545 stack, no conditioning, 16.4 damage taken, plus 5 conditioning, 15.6, 1 extra damage saved on the 50 damage. It's small, but it's consistent and it's stacked with everything. Does it work a perk slot? Light and medium, yes, especially in burst meta, and heavy only if you're stacking multiple source of fortify and stuff like that. So bottom line, conditioning equal mini opal before fortify. Slot it if you already at 50% armor and want every last point of survival. In my head, it's still better than health perk probably in PvP, and health in PvE is kinda good. So I'm gonna show a quick graph right there that you can pause or read if you want. And then I want to thanks everyone for watching my content. I'm gonna keep posting more and more. I wish you a good day. Peace out. Easy dub, guys. Just don't rush it. That's a 5+ round. Yep. Yep. No Xavier, I don't think we can get another one. We don't have time. Yeah, let's just extract. It's waste of time, I guess. Damage sponge. Good job. That's a sick one. 37 mythic crown.